computer doesn't even want to go live. That's how sad it is about Shooty Gatwa. Hello, everyone. The end do be nigh for season 2 of Doctor Who. Our intense double bill, the 2-part finale, Wishworld, the Reality War. It's finally here. We was so looking forward to it. Would it stick the landing? And in some ways, yes, and in other ways, we are now all clinically depressed about Doctor Who again.
It devastated the landscape. Yeah.
Connor's, that's not even a picture. Connor has genuinely fashioned himself an Omega mask and is now wearing it until Doctor Who comes back.
I feel like I am composed of antimatter after leaving Cineworld. I've not had a look in the mirror since. I'm literally stuck. On that detailed, you can't see my mouth moving. This is me in real life.
It's literally him. It is literally him, and he's eating random people as well, and it's really strange. I've told him to stop. But sadness should not be endured alone, because we saved arguably the best till last for this season of Doctor Who. Mr. Dominic G. Martin is back, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, hello. It's a pleasure to be with you all in this sad time that we are finding ourselves in.
It's brilliant to have you back, Dom. Thank you for agreeing to come back. And I'm sorry that I gave you the finale because I knew that something like this would happen.
Quite all right. I didn't expect it to be this way, but we'll deal with this.
We shall journey on the final adventure, it seems, of the 15th Doctor, because by the time this comes out, I think the BBC announced the fucking Big Finish sale on Rose Tyler's stories just after the episode ended. So you probably know, you've probably seen the clips. We're going to talk about it. We'll get into it, but we'll focus first on the episodes. But Dom, because I think you were in 73 Yards last season with us.
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, good times. And look how far ago that was, and how nice it was to be a Doctor Who fan, and the excitement, and what a great Doctor we had.
How optimistic the universe was back then as well.
It was certainly a happy atmosphere back then, more or less.
It was a different time. But how have you found the episode since then, and your excitement and probably trepidation for the whole? Will a season 3 happen, or will the show come back, sort of thing?
I mean, for the most part, I was really enjoying it. I was really having a good time with the series. I mean, sure, there were some little pitfalls on the way, but for the most part, it was looking good. It was looking good. I mean, we had episodes like Lux, which I absolutely adored. I thought that was really, really spectacularly done, really well animated, and just a very nice idea. And then the well as well was just superb. I mean, I didn't think they could pull off a sequel to Midnight, but they did. And then it started to get a little bit like sweaty palm time. But I really did like. I really did like Story in the Engine, although that one did take me a few watches to properly get. And then
I love that one.
And then there's the rest.
Did you not like Interstellar Song Contest?
You weren't a fan of Space Eurovision? Yeah, Space Eurovision.
Not for me. Not for me. I don't know. That one just felt just a bit. I think that's probably because I'm not the biggest fan of Eurovision anyway, and so it felt a bit gimmicky, and it kind of took me out of it, really. But that's just a me thing. That's no reflection on the episode or the episode's concept. But Shooty was great, and Carol Ann Ford was there and wonderful as usual. But again, so I'm barely containing some hidden rage here. But
let it out, Dom. Let it out. Channel that rage.
That's for later.
And reset time.
That is for later. The relevant issues will be addressed later.
Trying to keep it structured. I like it. I like your approach.
I'm trying my best.
In terms of the show, like the whole, oh, we've not actually got a season 3 for definite. Have you been worried about that at all?
Yeah, I've been worried. I mean, for the most part, it does feel like Doctor Who just continuously endures. But I guess this is really the first big time where it is a bit like we're on shaky ground. Like, I don't know what's happening next. I mean, no one outside of those obviously in the know what's going to happen, and it is a bit nerve-wracking because you really aren't. Like, it's not clear. No one is transparent because I don't think they have the information. It all depends on, as Russell was saying in an interview, the renewal of the Disney deal. We don't know if they've got the green light yet or if it's a red light. And we, us mere mortals, probably won't find out until many months later down the line. And it's a very precarious position to be in because we just don't know. It just sums the whole thing up. We don't know anything about what's going on. And I mean, it depends how much stake that you put into the leaks and whatnot, but I don't really want to believe everything that has been said. But it's crazy. We're in crazy times. Oh, that was a Snapchat. Sorry.
It's Russell. He's saying that the deal's gone through and we're all back.
Hell yeah! Let's go.
Yeah, confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been. I know we sort of had the worry at the start of the season of like, oh, Disney only gave us this much money for episodes, and like, we're coming towards the end of that when you include War Between the Land and the Sea. Nothing's for definite, but I think in our head it's like Doctor Who's gone away and come back before, and just because it goes away, it's on par with your big franchises like Star Wars and stuff in terms of if there is a big gap, like other stuff will be there. And the fans will do stuff that will keep it going regardless. Like, it will always exist in some capacity. This last couple of days, I think, is the first time I've been genuinely worried, like, oh, like, what if it actually doesn't come back? Like, is there going to be enough sort of momentum of it in 10, 15 years to bring it back? Or is it going to be that sort of thing that, it's kind of fallen under its own weight in some ways? Like, is that down to Russell coming back? Is that down to casting decisions he has or hasn't made? I know in terms of the fact of the lead actor in the show now is like, that is very much a circumstance of, well, we've not definitely got a season 3, so why should he sit around and hold on to this job if he doesn't even know if it's going to be there next year, kind of thing. So I do get it.
He left. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, carry on. Go, Dom.
I was just saying it did leave, I guess, if that was the case, it must have left him with a sense of unsureness. Because of all those moving parts, but having to basically be on hold for a year. I mean, Shooty's career the upward trajectory anyway, so it makes total sense for him to be like, sorry, I can't hang on like this. I have to go because there are things that I can be doing. I can't just stay dependent on this one job. And he is in demand. He's very much, no doubt, in demand. And it makes I don't blame him at all for having to leave if that's what has taken him out. Again, it's difficult to read what is the true story and whatnot. There's so much behind the scenes that we don't know, and it's so disheartening that it's gone down this way.
Yeah, I completely and utterly agree with you on that. I mean, we'll get into that when we get to the end of that, but in all, I've enjoyed this season, I think, a lot more than I have more recent ones. I've enjoyed this Doctor a lot over the last, year and a half we've had him. It's been nice to have regular Doctor Who for a couple of years. Even like, that was Russell's main aim. It's, Doctor Who on a regular basis, yearly first, and then spin-offs and stuff second. Did we really need War Between the Land and the Sea? Could you divvied up them 6 episodes and added 3 episodes onto each season? Maybe, I don't know. That would have been
Is it
nice.
really going to change the landscape? Should we move forward with the show? Like, would it actually contribute to anything? Because even touching upon the Disney Plus stuff, like even internationally, it's not Doctor Who: The War, the Land, and the Sea. They're almost kind of pseudo advertising it as its own series. They're just calling it The War, and the Land, and the Sea. They're not marketing it as a Doctor Who thing. It's just another show that's happening and will likely have a spike and then be forgotten about like everything else in the world of digital streaming, which isn't a great sign. But I mean, a spin-off's a spin-off, great. The Hooniverse, as Russell wants to call it, is still going to live on in some capacity, whether it is later this year or early next year, or God forbid, whenever they will actually have a release date for it. It's just, will it add anything? Yeah, that's another separate conversation. Just,
Yeah, I feel like had you got those extra episodes maybe in the seasons, allowed more time for your narrative to breathe. You get a couple more episodes with this Doctor, so that then if you still get to this ending, that then it would feel a bit more earned because you'd have gone on a bit more of a journey with him. That you could have just allowed to see him with his companions, both of them. Like you would have got a bit more with each one. You would have seen more of Belinda. You would have, like, the whole thing would have, I think, felt more complete. And then you could have, off the back of that, gone, well, this has been received really well because we've done all of this and we put as much effort into this as we possibly can, and it's gone well. So now we do the spin-off. Like, I think that should have been the afterthought, not like, oh, we're doing these seasons back to back and we're also going to work on the spin-off. It's a bit like, I think, had we done 3 seasons of Who and then a spin-off, then yeah, great. But now we're kind of like, we've got to use up the rest of the Disney Plus money. And is anyone really going to, because I know Mike has said that in terms of the way the season ended, is there going to be a lot of, I mean, most of us will watch it because we're obsessive and completionist sake.
Mm-hmm.
Are there going to be a lot of people that are going to stick around for a spin-off, for a version of a show that they've not really liked where it's headed, or certainly where it's heading in the more immediate future?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, I can definitely see the merit in the aim of doing the spin-off as well, because obviously back in RTT1 days, Torchwood came very soon, hot off the heels of Series 2. So I can see them. This is kind of a recreation of that in a sense, only that War Between is probably a limited series. I don't know if that has any aims of being a multi-series thing, or if it's just a limited thing on its own. But I guess they would this was just one of the aspects of wanting to increase the size of the Hooniverse, add another spin-off to the rota. I mean, it looks decent.
It does. It looks very Disney.
Yeah, I think on the whole, it'll probably end up being good. Maybe. It's difficult to predict with these things, obviously, because we have the trailer to go on. But I'm optimistic. I like to think that it will be good. I hope it'll be good. Although it does look a bit like the shape.
Sorry, as long as it doesn't end in CGI, then that's great.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, it does look like The Shape of Water, but we can deal with that.
But no, Guillermo del Toro. We got Pete McTeague's writing the whole thing. Is Russell writing any of it?
Oh, Russell was writing some of it. Is it? I mean, it's those two, isn't it? It's between those two. So I don't know if it's another.
Let me type in the ludicrously long title on Google.
Yes, excellent. Google to the rescue.
Yeah. Episode
created by Russell T Davis. Written by Russell and Pete McTeague. Episode.
And then directed by Dylan Hines.
Russell writes the first and the last one in its entirety, and then co-writes the 4th one. There's only 5 episodes.
Yeah, there's only 5, so another Children of Earth kind of thing.
We hope
If it's as good as
It's
Children of
so-
Earth, then
so-
fuck
mean,
yeah.
that would be bloody marvelous. That'd be the sort of thing we need right now.
yeah. I mean, it's
Unit
Unit and the
must
Sea
take action
Devils.
to
I
prevent
mean,
a
it
global
should be a
war.
lot worse. It should be a lot worse. Well, it could be a lot worse, rather.
I mean, I guess it all depends on how one feels about this incarnation of Unit as well, because they've got this little setup now with
That is true.
with Kate, Ibrahim, and Shirley. So yeah, it really does depend on if you like that and whatever the heck Russell Tavoy is going to be doing.
And is he Alonso midshipman frame?
I mean, no, I don't think he is. Unfortunately, I wish.
Ah,
But R.I.P. Midshipman Frame. He's not dead, but the character is.
and he should be. And obviously Colin McFarlane's been in the Hooniverse twice before, because he was in Under the Lake Before the Flood, and
Yes.
he was one of the generals in Children of Earth, wasn't he?
Yes, I believe so. Which is there we go. We've got our own link.
And obviously Gugu was Martha's sister.
Yes.
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 Which is quite an origin. She's one of those actors who have been in Who to really their career skyrocket afterwards. So it's amazing that she's come back to the universe.
Colin
42.
McFarlane, sorry, also he was the voice of one of the heavenly hosts in Voyage of the Damned. Which I didn't know.
Of course,
There
of
you go.
course.
Russell's assembling the Avengers of the Hooniverse to try and save it.
Yeah.
I mean, the trailer looked nice, but before we talk about what is to come, Wish World. Now, Connor, you did the thing that you did last
what a
year
bit.
with the finale. You
Yes,
avoided
I wish
everything
that I didn't
and
see it.
watched both
Yeah, I
parts
wish that
in the
I went on the
cinema.
internet. Yeah, I experienced it in the cinema like one big happy, well, ideally a happy wish. And I wished for half of what I got, and then the other half, my organs, not to sort of recap how I felt coming out of last year's finale, but my organs were kind of ripped out. Whereas emotionally, last year I was emotionally drained and just kind of devoid of nothing. This year, I feel like my insides have been fucking blended and crushed like a smoothie, and just rinsed out. I don't know how I feel about again the latter half of the episode as such. But again, from an audience and a selling point of view, it certainly was the talking point of this episode and this whole finale. But a la part one of last year's finale, I did really enjoy Wishworld quite a bit. Essentially, Doctor Who's take on the WandaVision concept, which was one of the few things that Russell watched and felt inspired by and said, "Oh, I want Doctor Who should be like the." He wanted a WandaVision-like idea in Doctor Who, and this very much was that script brought to life. And for the most part, I really did dig Wishworld quite a bit, especially not again having read anything, staying away from it, being a hermit for a week, only built up hype and speculation. But it was nothing, in a way, nothing that I was thinking it was going to be. So it was a big surprise. But then going into the reality war, reality just crumbled, didn't it? The reality of going into this season, the reality of, oh, will Doctor Who come back? The chances of it were quite high. And I feel like after, again, the finale, I feel like the reality we're in is bloody strange. I don't quite know the world we live in. I'm still quite shocked of the reality we currently are in the Doctor Who franchise, but I don't want it to end. Like, I do not want it to end at all. But again, it's a really big question mark, such as everything at the minute in the Hooniverse. But I still loved this as an event. Like, watching it with you, George, was a blast as it was last year. I feel like ultimately we enjoyed it more than we did a year ago with Empire, Death, and the Legend. No, what the hell was part one called? The Legend of Ruby? No, it wasn't Legend of Ruby Sunday, was it? Was that part one?
Yeah,
that was part one. Oh, I thought that was just a completely different episode. I feel like I enjoyed it this time, like more this time than I did this time last year. But again, it's just the reality certainly just changed going in and out of that episode. let alone the event that was Doctor Who 2025. But no, it's I don't know. This whole week, like last weekend, basically just it made me realize how much I actually do bloody still care about this show, and I still go and have like my gaps and sort of wilderness phases where I do sort of mentally switch off Doctor Who and go back into it with full force. And this whole era, RTD2 Shooty's era, I was fully on board with, despite how both finales have ended up. I do love this era, and I'm just devastated that it's kind of come to a conclusion that necessarily wasn't always the plan. And ultimately, I'm just angry at Disney for the most part putting it in the position that we're in. But I don't know. It's a whole mess. But it was a fun mess. Don't get me wrong, compared to last year. But man, what a situation we're in.
I mean, because I watched Wish World the weekend before, because I have no patience, unlike Connor. I can't not watch it when it's on. And I didn't.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to you. You've done it 2 years in a row, and you unfortunately probably won't get to do it next year, but maybe in a couple of years' time you can do it again.
Yeah, maybe.
I felt like that episode was like the first one was so slow. Like it was obviously like the Rani's back, she's doing this, and it's another Pantheon thing, which is I feel like we've had so much of that. Like Shooty's era has been tied to this ongoing story and stuff, and there's so many links that aren't going to be followed up, which is just annoying. But I enjoyed watching it in the cinema with both parts because Reality War really contextualized the first part for me, and I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more. Whereas at home watching it on BBC One the week before, I was kind of like, yeah, but nothing's really happening though. Like, yeah, it's like you say, like the WandaVision kind of thing of like, it's this, fake world and everyone's doing what they think, like this guy thinks that they should be doing because, he didn't actually come from a good home. So he's sort of trying to be sweet, even though he's still a narcissist. So whatever. But I think the Ranis were good enough. I mean, I still don't get why Mrs. Flood could break the fourth wall, but we'll never know, probably. Archie Punjabi was she was great. She really fit into that role of the Rani, and I was kind of nervous that would the Rani just feel like Missy, but she didn't, and you've got to applaud them for that, for actually making the Rani feel like a continuation of the Kate Amara character, which was a nice tribute to her. There's stuff with the child, which is then more important than we realize by the time we get to part 2. It's great, like the home life of the Doctor and all that. Belinda being in it. I think Belinda was done dirty, especially in part 2. Like she spends most of this being a housewife before she. I mean, she doesn't. I don't even think she remembers before the cliffhanger kicks in, and it's not until like the real time stuff.
Yeah.
With the Time Hotel in the next episode that she actually is like back. So she's nerfed a lot in that. She's nerfed a significant amount in Reality War in terms of she's just taken out the equation for the finale. So that
I'll be honest, she's been
saved the day.
She's been nerfed progressively since Lucky Day.
Yeah, and it's a shame because she's a character that I really liked as a companion. I thought I enjoy and connect with her a lot more than Ruby Sunday, and that whole thing makes you think: was the stuff of Russell not being not being able to work with her, was that a thing? Those rumors, was there any validity to that in terms of he found she couldn't work with him or something like that? Because Millie Gibson being in it this season has really sort of fleshed out some of her character aspects and really made her a lot more of a caring and loving person, and then doesn't even get a fucking proper goodbye at the end of it. So you've got two companions completely underserved in both parts. You've got comedic aspects of reality distilled unit, and making Gemma Redgrave wear tweed and Colonel Ibrahim wear, a 50s suit, and Shirley Bingham and all the other disabled people are chucked out, because I thought that was clever in terms of the fact that, because Conrad doesn't acknowledge or know or think about any of these kinds of people, so they're just invisible. I think that aspect was, again, playing up to the fact that this character is an arsehole. But even one of those reveals later on with Rose is just because he'd never be able to imagine you in a million years, Rose. And then you're just going to sit there and we're not actually going to give you any lines. It's
yeah.
It's like you're trying to say good things, but you're also not even fucking delivering on the things that you're saying. And it's I had a good time in terms of the most part of it. But when you dig more into it, it's just... For a moment, Connor turned into Jack Black.
What
and
was the
Joan
point
Martin. That was
of
really
Rose
confusing.
this episode?
I feel like I'm becoming more frustrated
You might say
with
I
it.
really do.
Even with that, Russell seemed like such a Chris Chibnall era apologist in more ways than one, especially in what comes in Reality War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been totally down for... Oh fuck! He's regenerated into Joe Martin. So the whole story that might finish one day.
Yeah.
We're doing it this way around, and then you get...
And they teased that later. The story in the engine. She even said it's a story that would finish one day. But is that day ever coming?
Is that? Yeah. How many times have that been promised now?
That would have been that's a great note to end on, because it's the Doctor revisiting a face, but one that he's had before, not the one that we've seen, so we can actually see her be the Doctor in terms of it would be a different incarnation. You could then explore some of that past stuff, and that would link better to the fact that I never expected Susan to be in the finale. Susan to me felt like a end of RTD2 Endgame kind of thing, in terms of it would build up to that. Would she be the boss? Would she be held captive by this boss or whatever? That it would kind of end with the Doctor reuniting with Susan, and then a new showrunner comes on, a new Doctor probably, and it would go from there, kind of thing.
I know I want her to say is, grandfather, where the fuck have you been? That's all I want her to say. That's all I want. I don't care about the rest of the thing. I just want her to moan at him.
And she was in a different outfit in Unleashed, right? The Interstellar Song Contest Unleashed. She's in a different outfit, so she's filmed something.
People are theorizing that Caroline is just that dripped out. Either that or scenes were cut. It's either one of the two. I hope she's just that dripped out, but also they're probably cut.
She was allegedly in the supposed one of the original endings for Reality War, where again, had Shruti not regenerated, which again we'll get into, had Shruti stayed on, and the ending would have just wrapped up after Doctor defeated Omega, and we wouldn't have had the latter half of the episode. Allegedly, even the set photo, again, me and George and everyone's been messaging about in our group chat, but essentially the photo of Doctor and Belinda in what looked like a nightclub, there was sort of a disco, they were dancing something.
The dance party.
So allegedly in that scene, it's going to be them dancing at the end, and then basically Susan's going to be watching over them, and it would have been on that ending of, Susan is still out there, basically coming in to meet the Doctor. That was meant to be one of the original endings that they did film.
Yeah.
So there's proof that Carol Ann did do more than just what we saw. But again, will this stuff ever make the light of day on the home media? Really, any of this ever come up? I don't know.
It'd be such a tremendous shame though if it didn't. Just bringing Susan back after all this time is an achievement in itself. It's something that many fans have been demanding since the 60s. And now that we finally are on the precipice of that, it feels like it's just been cruelly snatched away. And
it has.
I don't know how they can even really patch this back up without just carrying on into a different series, of which there currently is no certainty when the hell that's going to be. And it would be just such a shame if they're not able to bring her back. It'd be just a weird it'd just be a weird time of the show where we were almost there. We almost saw the Doctor and Susan reunited on screen, but just not quite.
Oh.
It would be gutting.
This feels like time. This feels like the real life Flux is trying to correct the mistake or a certain point in time where Susan will never meet the Doctor. I feel like this is a real life paradox where the Flux is actually trying to prevent this from happening.
But on the plus side, a hell of a load of 8th Doctor audios are being saved in the canon.
Yes,
I mean,
and again,
that's good.
she's done tremendous work for the 8th Doctor, that sort of time war-y stuff. Again, will that lead into again a push momentum enough of a return again, or again will time correct itself?
And also just
at
the
least,
fact
like
of,
you say,
not to
yeah.
be morbid, but like
no.
Caroline Ford's age is, it's getting on. So if there's another 2-3 year wait, like who knows what kind of health she'll be in. Hopefully, touch wood that nothing bad does occur. But that's like you've set her up for something. Was she in the top? Like
84.
was she in place of
84.
Jodie originally? Like was there like that kind of thing? Like I don't know, and that's another dangling thread. But on the most part, I think Wishworld is fine. But when you double bill it, it generally sort of I think works a lot better. I mean, the basic plot of Conrad is, he's using the God of Wishes to, influence the world in his way, like what he thinks, so that reality can break apart and the Rani can unleash Omega. How are we
What
with
happened?
the whole?
Oh.
How were we with the whole unveiling of that? Because the cliffhanger's like, to be fair to him, the Sutek cliffhanger last year was interesting. I had chills, even though it wasn't an anagram because the letters weren't all there. But that was like, oh fuck, it's Sutek, and now this time's oh fuck, it's Omega, and they both end in the same disastrous way. But
oh god,
him
that
falling to the crushing reality and Omega's being unleashed was like, oh my god, the stakes are high.
The Underverse. The one who lost, but realistically, who else was lost in Doctor Who mythology? I mean, if it wasn't Omega, I really, again, having not read or seen anything beforehand, as soon as they mentioned one, if the Rani hadn't said the one who lost, I would have been completely clueless, bawling. But as soon as she said lost, I suggested, if it wasn't Omega or another Time Lord in the form of Rastalon or Barusa, like again, who really would it have been? That was the only thing that gave me like a 5% hint as to it could have been Omega. But I still, again, gasps, was in emotional shock that they were going to actually bring Omega. But again, with the hindsight of last year, I wasn't expecting the actual Omega. So I wasn't as angry as I was last year. But I mean, he did less than CGI dog suit tech.
He did.
It was just that he did less.
I mean, he barely had like 3 or 4 minutes of screen time,
which like what, 2 lines,
and very minimal effect on the plot, other than killing off one of the Ranis, which is
and the one that you could,
very annoying.
They killed off the other one and left Archie Punjabi to either come back or regenerate again. But
I mean, this has created a whole new set of issues, because now we've got Russell now has to figure out what are the ethics of like by generated version regenerating. Is like Anita Dobson the last one of her particular cycle now, or will she be able to go on? Because if she
once you bi-generate and your other half dies, can you go again?
Because that
can you regenerate again? Like half your essence is gone? Yeah.
Because if she can, that implies that Mr. Old David Tennant over there can become another Shooty Gatwa.
And that's what happens. He gets shot by Wilf when he's hunting those badgers, and then he turns into Shooty Gatwa. And everything coalesces, and we all wake up from this fever dream.
It's the man I want.
It's an ideal world.
But yeah, how does that work? And Why the fuck are the Time
How
Lords
does
now
it work?
sterile?
Exactly.
I mean,
Why
I
could
think-
they not
yeah.
create after
I'm
60
pretty
years?
sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Well, I mean, I think that was supposed to be something as a result of the Master killing all the Time Lords, but even so, I don't think sterilization was the first thing on his mind. I think he just wanted to kill them all.
Yeah, outright. Yeah, not their internal organs. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it's
if I
not-
mean, if
that-
it's the consequence of that, fair enough. But other than that, it's like, what the fuck?
But also in like, was it Legend of Ruby Sunday? There was that weird line where the Doctor was like, "Oh, I might have kids later on, not necessarily had already had them." Something along those lines. When he was talking about Susan.
Yeah.
If you're sterile, why are you talking about that? Are you going to adopt? Are we now saying that Susan is an adopted granddaughter? Is this the new canon?
I think there
mean-
was
I mean,
theories of
evidence
that, though, wasn't
suggests-
there? There was theories that
Yeah.
he'd adopted Susan, or Susan was his actual daughter, or like they were both like he ran away and he like adopted this other lost Gallifreyan child and took her on as his own kind of thing. I know there's been whispers of that before. I hate, like Connor knows how much I hate the thing of like, oh, like Susan is the name of my granddaughter, or like she is, or like she will be, or whatever. Like, you know, time doesn't work like that. No, it fucking
Yeah.
doesn't. Time
No.
still works the same way, because when you were William Hartnell, she was your granddaughter. You don't suddenly become Shooty Gatwa and then go back in time and become your own grandson kind of thing. Like, it's not fucking happening. You don't
Love that.
cross,
Yeah,
cross
We're
back
trying
and
to-
then suddenly do it again.
they're trying to deny the reality that Hartnell got laid. They're trying to deny that.
Why does everyone have a problem with that? There was probably a point where the Doctor looked like a much younger Billy Hartnell and was probably, you know, had a nice life, you know, maybe got married, had kids, and then those kids had kids. Why the fuck is that such a problem?
Because the mortal pain of being human is what made him escape from Gallifrey in the first place. Maybe that's why he hated the thought of actually settling down with his so-called family, and maybe again there's a precursor to the whole half-human thing that came up once in the 1996 American movie that then since has not been brought up apart from a comedian watch. Maybe that's why he ran away. Maybe because he didn't want to be a family man. Damn it!
Oh my
He
god!
He wanted to escape.
The Doctor
Maybe-
becomes a deadbeat dad.
Maybe he like
and he-
maybe the lie is that he's sterile so he doesn't have to pay child maintenance. I don't know.
Oh
But, like,
god!
It's a galactic child maintenance. God forbid what the hell that's going to cost.
Especially after
Maybe.
however many thousand years old the Doctor is.
Jesus,
Yeah.
that's a bill. That is a bill.
He's gonna have to get a job in that time hotel.
Are we
He really
counting
will.
the time in the confession dial? 'Cause
Yeah, so that's
gonna add a few
billions.
zeros.
I don't know if that counts or doesn't count. Everything's canon until nothing's canon, Dom. But
Yeah, there we go. Whatever saves
I
from the
like-
child support.
I liked the get out of jail free thing of as the Doctor's falling before we find out that it's just Groundhog Day. The reality will keep going over and over again until like the whole thing shatters. Of the time hotel, like that was amazing. Like what a callback! We got Anita back.
It was a cool moment.
Progressed in her
It was a
job.
great moment.
Someone was really excited to see her. Like amazing.
Yeah.
That was a nice
Yeah.
surprise.
It was a love. It was
kickoff-
lovely to see Anita again.
Oh yeah, Anita, what a character! I mean, again, that episode didn't necessarily. I liked the episode. I haven't rewatched Joy to the World since. I mean, that's kind of on my watch just now because of how important it was going into this episode. But seeing Anita at the beginning of Reality War was a real like gasp, wow moment because I didn't personally predict any of that to come up ever again. So that was a really nice, great kickoff. I thought it was amazing. And Time Hotel idea was cool anyway, so I was just happy to see more of that going forward and not just for a Christmas special. But yeah, man, justice for Anita. We need more Anita. Anita should have been the companion. Well, not taking anything away from Belinda or again Verida Sefu or Millie Gibson or Ruby Sunday, but I just wanted Anita to be a bit more of a permanent stay in the show. But the fact that we got her more in this episode, it filled my heart with joy. It kicked off the episode massively in the right direction. I had hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one of the. I mean, considering this probably wasn't originally going to be a culmination of the 15th Doctor's era episode, like it draws on a lot of the elements that have made his era as enjoyable as
Yeah.
we have found them ourselves. Like, Anita has probably been one of the best companions that the Doctor's had, even though she was not even really the companion of the Christmas special she was in.
She's the best non-companion in a while.
But I mean, ultimately, he probably spent more time with her than he did with either Ruby or Belinda.
And that
Yeah,
is a
when he
big
was on
finish
Earth for a year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's a big finish step waiting to happen.
Big finish. Time Hotel Diaries.
Hotel Diaries. But I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how long he technically did spend with Ruby, but it can't have been more than a year. I don't think it was 6
Yeah, 'cause
months. I mean, was the number touted, but I don't think it went. I don't know if it went to a year.
Yeah, because it was they were in the TARDIS a couple of months by the time of episode 2, weren't they? Which
Yeah, it was
everyone
6
kind of like
months.
lost their fucking
6
minds out.
6 months without going to an alien planet.
Stupid. But that was nice. The fact that obviously that reality exists in terms of like that's real time because then everything falls apart. And but then even Anita's reduced to just hold that door open so real time can keep flowing in. It's like what? All these
Yeah,
great
not
women characters that we've had, like we're just gonna make them stand there and do fuck all. What's the
and
point?
she's a pregnant lady too.
Yeah. Oh, like it's a
Optics
woman
not
and she's
great.
pregnant. Oh, but the fact that she
But
was
also,
actually the
yeah,
actor was pregnant in real life, wasn't she?
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I
Yeah.
mean, making a pregnant lady hold open a door for God knows how much time. I'm like, come on,
And they
guys.
didn't even ask her if she needed a pee. Inconsiderate unit. Where's your human resources center? Because I mean, we were touching on it when we were talking about War Between the Land and the Sea. But what do you guys actually make of this incarnation of unit?
I think it is. It's well. They seem to have no limitation of job vacancies and a
Where
particular
was
focus
Morris?
and a little focus on child labor. So I mean, morally and ethically, bit dodgy, but they seem to be more of a mainstay now. I don't mind them. I think they're because I do like. I mean, Kate's been around a while now. I really like Kate, and I do like Ibrahim as well.
Yeah.
Although I wish they would stop trying to make them a couple. I also I do like Shirley as well. I just wish that she got more development to be a character on her own. War Between might fix that, but yeah, I think there's more that can be done to develop the characters. But I guess it's all about the time that they spend with them, and they haven't exactly had enough time.
It's almost too much of sorry George I can't even talk. They're too much of an ensemble of some ensemble piece. There we go. But some of these characters individually, we've had very little time to really distinguish who they are as people and why they got the job ultimately. I know we've had the most time in terms of years and eras with Gemma Redgrave's Kate Stewart, but even so, there's aspects of for me it's more like, are they physically capable of repelling threats? Because I mean, no, like, don't get me wrong, they've got the office, they've got the equipment, they've got the space time, they've got the links that hopefully does more than just press buttons on a chair.
Why the Blinks, man? What
does he even do?
Don't know very much
What is
about the Blinks. Who is he? Where is he from?
He's just there every time. He's just sitting on his computer dialing buttons. Maybe that's the focus of the spin-off. Maybe we'll actually get a reason behind it.
A bit more race.
Yeah. Justice for Flinks. We've had justice for Anita, now we've got to get justice for the Flinks. But I don't know. I just feel like from a physical power labor point of view, will they actually have the physical presence to actually repel any invaders back? Or anybody, with or without the Doctor? I feel like that's the only thing that War Between the Land and Sea is going to realistically tackle and explore.
Yeah.
Because aside from being surrogate to the Doctor's amazing presence and scientific brain in every single scene, because the Doctor has to outshine everybody, because that's
They
his
are-
ego.
They are very
Yeah.
subservient to the Doctor in this era. That is for sure. If you compare like their entire attitude to him in, say, the 12th Doctor era, it's very much a 180.
Yes, yes. I'll be keen to looking back at that. Like, yeah, I'm sort of in a bit of a Who-niverse rewatch anyway. I'm almost at the 12th Doctor, so again, having known this era's unit, I'll be interested to go back to the 2015 incarnation to see the differences. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they're good. We need more individual moments with some of the people, but I just want to see them physically do stuff. Which again, War Between will probably solve that situation for me. But they're nitpicks, if anything. Yeah.
I think as well in this era, like Unit have been so like present. Like I know that in Capaldi they were in like at least a story a season, and like
Yes.
these
Yes.
ones are so much shorter, and they've been featured quite a lot. I mean, you've had them in the Giggle, you've had them in the finale last year. Was there any Unit in I mean, there was brief bits of Unit in 73 Yards.
Yeah, and Lucky
You've had
Day.
Lucky Day, like these 2 episodes, and it's all Avengers Towery, and it's all very like, what if we had a sort of central hub for the Doctor to sort of come back to, instead of like the personable like department that it was. And you know what? Credit to the Chibnall in terms of like how the fuck would this even get like funding now? So it falls short because of a Brexit joke, and you only really see it in 1 or 2 episodes of the end of Flux, and then suddenly it's the joke of I may have to recruit you for some work at the the Doctor Companions Alcoholics Anonymous
Intervention.
meeting. So like turns
Yeah,
out
yeah.
that she wasn't joking, because she probably fucking recruited all of them. I'm just
Yeah.
assuming that Willie Russell was on holiday like last season before he sadly passed in real life. Like the character was probably there working the fucking post room or something. Like, they probably got all of them.
Yeah. Off camera.
And like I know scheduling and stuff, but like it's unfortunate that Ruth Madeley was not in last season's finale. So they just did a click and replace with Morris Gibbons. Was that the character's name?
Yeah.
Morris, yeah.
And then he's not even mentioned or seen in this, and I don't even know if he's in War Between the Land and the Sea. So it feels like they're very like it's look at us, look at what we've got, but they're not actually giving Unit enough to sort of work with in terms of like, why should we care about this version of it? Whereas the Pertwee era did that so well, like that carried on and was the thread through like the rest of the classic era, was the goodwill that it was built off of, like the Pertwee years. When they finally sort of returned in dribs and drabs in RTD1, and then to actually get a full on, like, we've not seen Unit in a while, let's kind of reintroduce it, restructure it, do it properly in the latter Smith years. It was like, oh, this is nice because we've not had it. And then they've sort of just they've been present, but they've not been there, as much as they have been. But that's because we've had less episodes in a shorter amount of time. So
it's also funny.
Surprising.
Yeah, it's also funny you mentioned about the whole budget cut thing as well, because suddenly they have a new HQ in Power of the Doctor that gets completely destroyed. But that now they have an HQ which not only resembles the Avengers Tower, but also seems to have the abilities of the bloody Power Rangers SPD base, where it can actually like attack everything around it. And I'm just that was a really bizarre scene. At one point, I thought it was going to actually like source to separate, like the Enterprise D, and is really giving like proper. I don't even know that. Just the side of the tower just fighting off the bone beast. I mean, it was an awesome sequence, don't get me wrong, but how do they go from A to B? How do you go from having no funding to all of a sudden having more funding they probably ever had?
Intergalactic laser cannons, yeah.
Literally, the galvanic lasers and everything is just how?
Like here's the laser that cut David Tennant in half.
Oh,
There's
they
that
need a
one.
good
Really?
doctor cutting laser. They need that on their back pocket. That's their emergency button.
Well, yeah, but no funding to all the funding. And when they said like prep Ruby for the flight, and then like the wheel was like had come out of the floor or whatever in the unit tower, I was like, oh, this is going to turn into a rocket, and they're going to fly off somewhere or do something. And it was like,
Yeah, that's what
fucking
I was
hell.
thinking. I
I
was like,
really
oh,
hope not.
fortunately, it never did that. But oi, oi, oi.
Um, so Power of 3 was the first on-screen appearance of Unit in any Hooniverse media since End of Time Part 2.
Hmm.
Obviously, like, we know about the stuff from then to the Capaldi era. Resolution, the 13th Doctor attempts to call Kate Stewart for assistance, discovers unit operations have been suspended and replaced with an outsourced call centre due to diplomatic argument over funding. In Spyfall Part 1, it is stated that Torchwood and Unit no longer exist. Survivors of the Flux reveals it was caused by Grand Serpent, who did nothing. Apprentice. Unit is resurrected in 2022 for the Power of the Doctor, once again under Stewart's leadership. New building in London, which is quickly demolished by the end of the episode to defeat the Cybermen. New skyscraper. Yeah, there's just fucking so much shit. I don't even know if I think also as well, like, it's a bit like the Daleks or the site, like, Unit's kind of, at this moment in time, it's kind of lost the charm of using it, because it's like, they were in the Star Beast. They were the grand finale setting. Like every Russell T Davis II finale, Giggle, Empire of Death, and Reality War, all set at Unit Tower.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
absolutely like
The special attraction aspect of Unit is non-existent now because, again, this kind of loosely breaking the subject slightly, but like we've been saying every week, George, or I've been saying to you, I feel like this formula of this era has kind of been very formulaic. Like season one, like, okay, Space Babies and Robot Revolution, not like much each other, in my opinion, but every other episode's kind of had similar themes and patterns. And again, going into the whole finale breakdown, you just mentioned, but I feel like now that we know how definitively both seasons were filmed and clearly patterned, and without calling it a copy and paste of like episode 2 very much was like episode 2 of this season, for example. Again, our ideas and aspects being different, I feel like it was just mega formulaic, and Unit have lost their special attraction now because we know the pattern, unless, God forbid, the show continues. They're actually going to do a finale that's not in Unit Tower. Yeah.
It was oddly formulaic, yeah. It felt like they were doing the same sort of structure, like we were looking at zones in classic Sonic games. Like we had the first
just with
Space Babies and Robot Ribbon.
Yeah,
it's like Green Hill to Emerald Hill, Space Babies to Rebel Revolution, and it's just, I don't know if it was like just a really serious coincidence, or if it's intended. If it was intended, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah. I mean, again, not to say that the episodes individually weren't good on their own material, but you can't not critically or even as a fan. Like, I still think people would make the patterns be like, oh yeah, like even I'd say the Boom and the Well, episode 3 of both seasons respectively. I would say, like, I wouldn't call them outright similar or the same as each other because, again, the Doctor's on a mine and the Well, he's walking around, so not quite physically the same.
In terms of genre, it's still like the gritty sci-fi one of the series.
And atmosphere and dark, yeah, exactly. They are structurally kind of similar and almost the same. Lucky Day and 73 Yards, again. They're both literally Doctor Lights. They're literally both Doctor Light. So yeah, they're the same.
Ruby centric. I mean, I believe Lux and Devil's Cord, very much they were the lighter ones. The lighter ones that depended on a different genre, like animation or musicals.
But also from a plot and arc point of view, both dealt with gods and the pantheons and the legions, and Dot and Bubble and a story in the engine from a racial, personal point of view, from shooting perspective, quite similar and thematic episodes. And then what episode 6 of series? What was episode 6 series 1? I've gone blank. What was that episode before the finale?
God.
Mind fart.
I'm trying to think.
Was that anything like Interstellar Contest? That literally of blank space.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, how have
The
we
episode
collectively forgotten episodes of series 1?
Time.
It's only 8.
What has happened to time? What was season 1 of
Bubble? Dot
Doctor
Bubble.
Who season 1.
Oh my God! This is bad. This is bad. Rogue. It was Rogue. That's it.
Rogue.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Maybe not. I wouldn't say Rogue and Interstellar Song Contest. Not visually.
I wouldn't say they're quite so similar, but they both involve different aspects. They both involve different aspects of terrorism.
Right? Yeah. That's very valid. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
And the main event being upstaged by like aliens that are, trying to make a spectacle and either through sacrifice or through like a wedding kind of thing. So, I was just trying to say, because they are basically. I mean, they did. They had a 4-week break between season 1 and season 2, so
and there's a bit where
sorry,
and there's a bit in it where the Doctor thinks his companions died.
Yes, that happens.
Yeah, so that's the link. That's the big link between episode 6s. Yes, the companions almost died. He thought they were dead. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Fair.
And
I'm glad we were on that same.
The Doctor's also left heartbroken, or looking for someone that they've lost,
and becomes vengeful as a result. He becomes vengeful.
Yes. Oh wow!
I don't like this. Guys.
We've broken this era down in a scary, thoughtful way. This has been my theory. I've been thinking this whole time, but yeah, no. I'm glad again we all kind of figured it out together.
Yeah.
But I think I infinitely enjoyed this finale a lot more in terms of just watching it. It does work. It's just when you think about what it's done to the characters that we're supposed to be caring so much about. The whole thing with Poppy, how did we like that whole thing? Did we gel with it? Did we not give a shit?
I really
that's harsh. We say not give a shit. That's harsh, George. How dare you? It's a baby. You can't not care about a baby being a dad. No, I'm joking. Not baiting you out at all. No, but again, even before reading things, again, not having read anything, I literally looked at Poppy before realizing that. Again, the baby cameoed in the end of Story in the Engine, because I totally blanked that out. Online told me that. I was like, oh, well, okay, that's obviously not going to pay off. But that, ironically, had more payoff than the most important cameo of all time in the form of Carry-On Horde is baffling. But then when I saw Poppy in the finale, and again, thinking about the Chibnall era, Timeless Child was always there in the corner of my head. So I kind of thought, they could at least tie into something with that. But no, that's just wishful thinking.
I like the theory that Poppy was the first incarnation of him, and then it would bring it full circle, so that then she would be lost in space, and then that's how he comes to be, kind of thing. So without her being lost, then the Doctor can't actually exist, sort of thing.
Yes.
The whole thing of because if we forget the whole sterile stuff, because it's stupid, but a child of a Time Lord and that, and having someone of his own kind, especially when he's just seen Susan, even though the Rani's right there, she's a member of his species. He banished Rassilon from Gallifrey in 2015, so he's probably still existing. The Master was in a gold tooth that was picked up by a hand that logistically didn't work from that end of the helipad, but sure, the Master is still out there. So he's not on his own.
Although, didn't they specify that the Master killed basically everyone outside of Gallifrey as well? It was across the universe?
Well, like a bloody what were they called in Obi-Wan Kenobi and Rebels? The fucking bloody skinny lightsaber people. What the fuck were they? Why are our
Oh,
memories so bad? What are
I-
things?
skinny lightsaber people.
Getting lightsaber
Um,
people.
You know
in
when it
Rebels,
in like a helicopter.
what
Uh,
species?
Hang on, let me just type in Rupert Friend.
Oh, the Inquisitors.
Inquisitor.
Yes,
That's the one.
Inquisitors. Yes,
I was going to
yes,
say
yes.
adjudicator, but that's like an
Yeah,
Ofsted
so
exam.
I was thinking A. I was like A. Yeah, the Inquisitor, right? Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Where are you going with this Inquisitor theory, George?
Like was the master like that? He was just hunting down Time Lords.
I
Well,
guess, but it was implied to be done in like a single second, wasn't it? Like it was just done like a Thanos snap.
a blip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's the sort of interpretation I kind of gathered from it. Because I know they made references. I mean, they've kind of changed what they were referring to in the Timeless Children throughout this series. Era really. They kind of expanded upon it, and I mean, they've always been like making vague references to it, to the Master in general. They never really use his name, but he was responsible.
Yeah.
I mean, you could I mean, the way they done it, if someone hadn't seen the Whittaker era, you could just assume, or the Smith era. If you just went from RTD1 to RTD2, you could just assume that they were talking about the Time War still. It's that.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
sort of like a vague wording
Yeah.
of it.
Mm.
Especially like when they've brought him back just to kill him off again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that whole thing
That's
of
the
then like
gimmick.
him chasing the child, and then that whole thing like tacked on at the end in terms of that child is the reason that this Doctor regenerates.
Oh god, the Doctor kills himself for a baby. Which is
In
kind of
terms of
wholesome when you put it like that, but at the same time,
Hmm.
there are serious problems I have.
Oh, like it got me
Yeah.
in terms of that whole thing of like they, bloody Susan Twist was there, which was nice that she's still a thing.
Yeah, that
She
was a twist.
she built the box
Yeah.
that they made Belinda just stay in for most of the important bits of the finale.
But the
And then
Zero
when
Room,
they
yeah.
open it, and then when they open it and she's still in there, that there was a bit from it. It did get me because I was like, as a dad, it was like, yeah, that's if you thought you'd lost like one of the most important people in your life, and like that
Mm.
kid's still there, so there is hope. And then
Yeah.
disappears, and then the episode kind of ends, but then still fucking carries on because time's now
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
sync. A bit like series 5, like all the cracks are closing, but I'll be on the wrong side, kind of thing, because he had to repair everything. Sort of a bit like that.
Yeah. To that extent.
I mean, did we like that whole thing? Because Ruby was quite endearing in that whole process.
She was being relentlessly gaslit, I thought.
You think?
Like, that's how it just seemed to be. Because it is one of those things where, in terms of like that TARDIS scene, where they're treating her like an insane asylum patient. Because like, no, you're wrong. But the Doctor of all people should know that if someone is remembering something, and with Ruby's proximity to alternate timelines and whatnot, there's something. It took him way longer than it should have done to actually start taking it seriously.
Mm. But yeah, that was a bit strange. And then the whole thing of like, and then they're talking about, we're gonna take you home, Ruby, and then we're gonna go see the stars. Was a bit like, what the fuck? And then they're all in
It's
unit.
very almost out of character. Yeah.
And they all offered to help. Like Ibrahim's like, we can help you, Doctor. And then they're like, Kate's then listing off all the shit they've got. And he's like, no, there's only one way to solve this, and it's with me. Because at that point he's decided that, he's going to use his final regeneration energy into the TARDIS to put time back in sync or whatever. So that
Almost
this
Big Bangy, but not
removed.
quite the Big Bang in a way.
Because we had clips from the series, like used but altered, because those lines about her talking about her daughter were definitely never in the original version, were they?
Oh no, there were reshoots.
No,
That
absolutely,
was
yeah.
very weird. That was very weird. It's kind of like, I mean, if that's the new reality, then the entire series has basically been wiped out,
Alarm. It
Yeah,
been,
'cause
blinks,
none of
it's
it really
alarm.
been
happened.
completely retconned. None of it really happened. It's like the end of Sonic 06 is now just, we've gone through the entire series, and now at the ending, it's all just changed. Oh, it's all gone. Oh dear. All those events were completely different. Lovely.
I didn't
Okay.
think of it like that. Yeah,
Mm,
that's dark. I didn't think of it like that.
yeah, tricky.
I
And then the
mean,
TARDIS, I'm assuming, tries to
Belinda's entire.
carry on, Tom.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
I mean, no, it's fine. It's fine. Belinda's entire fate, I feel, is just kind of dark at the same time, because she's just kind of
Mm,
left now as a single mother to a child that she never consciously perceived, really conceived. Sorry,
yeah, yeah.
conceived,
Yeah.
and now she's a single mum, and the Doctor is technically this child's father, but not anymore. But at the same
Mm,
time, is not going to stick around for this child. The optics
shit,
are a
parent.
bit. I mean, the optics are weird. It's so skewed. He kind of brought this child into her life, and to do nothing. I don't like it. I don't like it at
Mm,
all. It just makes me feel icky. And the optics, racially, the optics aren't very nice.
No,
yeah.
yeah, it definitely does. It fucking seems that way. And it just is like, they needed a way out. So what could they think of? Oh, because he's going to save this child that didn't really exist, and then he's going to leave anyway because he's going to change his face, which is just like and hit the reset button. But
And that's
Initially,
another.
though, like, oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
sorry,
Um,
sorry.
no,
Go on,
don't
go
be. I'll try to be quick. But essentially, when all that was breaking down, and essentially, yeah, the Doctor sacrifices incarnation to, regenerative energy to save, to realign the timeline / fix the universe / not do a big bang, but it kind of felt big bang-ish for a child that isn't his and Belinda's. It's like an inverse House of M. It's the opposite of No More Mutants, but it's for one child that, now that the time's been fixed / changed and altered. Like, I kind of read it initially as it was happening as, has this always been the canon now? Like, is this, in theory, you've kind of said no, and again, he's a shit parent, but is this now the Doctor's child that isn't his and Belinda's? And I'm not reading it as a case of like, are they together? Because obviously they're not. But
No.
is it a case where, again, should it ever go forward and should this ever be brought up again? Is this now how the Doctor can retroactively call himself a parent and establish the fact that he has got a kid out there, son or daughter? It's, without calling the child half Time Lord, because without limiting gender, like, is this how the Doctor can retroactively have a son that will then have a granddaughter that would then be a Susan-ish type figure? Again, that's just a headache within a headache.
Yeah.
I hated the scenes of, oh, Doctor, take me home, because obviously that never happened when we were watching it week by week. It was, oh, get me home because I've got to be home for my daughter. Obviously, that wasn't part of the season. That's the twist. But knowing that the timeline's been realigned as opposed to being fixed, is that the thing now? I just, it's a headache. It's pissing me off.
Yeah, it's
It's a
like the
headache.
reality.
It should be a thing.
Yeah, and also the methodology as well. He forces himself to regenerate in order to move reality 1 degree to restore the child. That just seems a bit OP, really. Just being able to, you could bring something into life or remove something out of it by changing your face. I mean, a whole regeneration, with the regeneration limit aside, that feels like you could use that to solve a few problems.
Yeah.
I don't
mean-
like the implications.
No.
No.
The fact that it was kind of, you can feel it was just a, how do we get the Doctor to regenerate so that Shooty can leave? And that's what they came up with.
I don't.
Which was
Yeah, I don't
far
know.
from
It
ideal.
would have been. It would have been far easier if you just had Omega wound him, I think, and he just holds it off like the 12th Doctor did until the end. Like,
Or simply Omega just ate him, and then the Doctor had to regenerate from the inside out. They could have
oh,
just
that's
done that. They could have just done that. That's how you should have defeated Omega. No, I'm
Yeah.
joking.
takes him down and takes him down on the inside and just ends up in the
That's
reset for the rest of the
unique
episode.
regeneration, and it would have been one that we wouldn't have seen in theory. Maybe we would have had gold energy, the typical gold regeneration energy sort of come out of Omega or through Omega, but then we didn't actually see the change internally, so to speak.
Well, of course, that required the whole thing to be planned.
Well, yeah. Was there any of this planned? Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't planned, was it? It was just face facts.
No.
I mean, he had some lovely last words.
Yeah, in front of
and
Nicola Coughlin.
Joy is in front of what? Sorry.
In front of Nicola Coughlin. Joy.
Yes. Yeah, quite literally. Yes, the star called Joy. Yeah. And that it's nice. It's bittersweet. It's how, again, that episode, Joy to the World, which again I wasn't particularly big on. Not I disliked it, but it kind of just happened and was a bit of a blip in my, I guess, universe enjoyment ranking this era. But now it's kind of retroactively made that episode go up. I want to say go up a spot or two because of its significance now. And it was beautiful. I would say this whole era, planned or not planned, this era was joy. It was fun. It made me engage with Doctor Who in a way that I haven't been engaged personally for quite some time. It's just a damn shame. Like, joy and shame are the two words I use to describe this era, like the good and the bad, the alpha and omega, the inverse and out. Like, I love that final bits like so much from Shooty's mouth, but I just hate the idea that this is the reality that we're now in, ignoring the whole renewal fact and the whole show in the air situation. That's a separate bubble that can hopefully be popped by the time this comes out, this recording comes out sooner rather than later. But it was so bittersweet, it was frustratingly bittersweet. Beautiful though, but sad.
Yeah, it was an absolute joy, and it's sad that that's what it's come down to. And sort of to end on, as we wrap it up, is Billie Piper the Doctor?
Oh boy, I mean, she has to be. I don't want any convoluted bullshit. I don't want any like, oh, she's the moment, or Bad Wolf, or Rose inhabiting the Doctor's. But no, just make her the Doctor. This is the bed you've made. Now you have to lie in it.
But it's almost poetic if the show, in worst case scenario, this is indeed the end. That 2005 started with Russell and Rose, and now the final image that, hopefully we'll get some sort of update. And I don't want this to be the last image because, again, we're selfish fans that love this show too much. But it would be kind of poetic if it did end with Russell and Rose / the Doctor.
And Billie Piper becomes the new Wilderness Years Doctor.
But it means the Doctors kissed himself and loved him themselves. And yes, that's also another big fan.
He's in the body of X. Oh no.
It's all imploding on itself. But I mean, all of the things, she is in the reality war as an unnamed role. She's not specifically credited as the Doctor. I mean, the Doctor does channel regeneration energy into the TARDIS. He was the last person to absorb the heart of the TARDIS.
I was watching Council of Geeks' video on this, and she raised some great points that I do agree with, in that it's quite possible that Billie hasn't signed any like dotted line stuff saying that she is formally playing the Doctor. So she's probably just in this episode as a guest capacity. So, but not necessarily the Doctor. So it gives them all a bit of a get out clause in case like either A, they want to do like a time jump or something, or B, like Billy can't commit to doing anything further of the role. It gives them some get outs, but I feel like if this is what has been done, that I don't know if I would have preferred something open ended.
Yeah, like
Because
when it hit the back of the TARDIS and it was like, the lights are off and it was regeneration energy, I literally turned to Connor and I said, "Oh, it's gonna end like this." And then it will cut to the wide shot, and I was like, "It will kind of end like how Jodie's one was going to end had there not been the showrunner to take over," and I would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
I would have personally liked just before Billy's face appeared, if it literally zoomed in on Shooty's face and the screen just stayed goldy white and then it just faded to black. That would have been okay to me. It would have been painful, and I'd be imagining Shooty's regeneration but not actually changing forever in my head. But me, that would have been okay. Like a real close-up face of the Doctor's going to change, but we wouldn't know who he changed into.
Yeah. I think that it would be like Stolen Earth ending, and I think that would have been a lovely way to end the episode, end the series, the era, the show. As much as I don't want that, like, my God, I really don't. But if it had to happen, it would have been an interesting image. But I can also see the merit in the whole full circle Russell and Rose, the first person we saw. There's the first face we saw in the new series being the last face we see in the new series. I can see the merit.
There's a nice synergy to it. It's just, the companions being underserved, and then you get you get a nice cameo from Jodie. You get then this moment. It's kind of it's all moments. It's all headlines. It's what's going to grab you and what's going to be posted all over social media, rather than the focus being the story.
Hype moments in aura.
Yeah, viral gossip moments. Hashtag this, hashtag that. Yeah.
And if Shooty Gatwa is a genuine incarnation of the Doctor, wedged between two stopgap incarnations of the Doctor, because David made sense. You were doing the anniversary, like you couldn't get out of filming Sex Education, so you got 3 extra episodes of a David Tennant Doctor that worked well, and it was culminated, and you started his era, and then you might have the same again, because I'm assuming he would have changed his mind late in the day, and that's why they were like, well, we're not going to actually rush the casting process of the 16th Doctor. We'll maybe have a stopgap version again that will grab the headlines and stunt cast, which is everything that Doctor Who shouldn't be. It should always look forward and change.
Trump card,
I don't like that, really. It's very I could definitely I liked David Tennant's return. I liked it because you can get away with that because it's 60th anniversary. Exactly. He is objectively the most popular Doctor, and you can bring him back for a bit and have a bit of fun. But when it comes to doing that sort of thing outside of anniversaries and as a potential, this is the future of the show sort of context, then you're like, I don't think so, because
the role of the Doctor is going to lose its the role of the Doctor is going to mean nothing or not as good as a resume. I can't even talk. The role of the Doctor is a bit of a prestigious role, not just for British television, but it's an honorary role to have on an actor's CV. But if it's just going to be a gimmick as, oh, who can be the Doctor now? Like, why can't Frida Agman be the Doctor next? Or why can't Catherine Tate be the Doctor next? Like, that's the last thing I want to be part of the conversation. But is that going to be like the companion roulette or just actor roulette who's been in the RTD eras going to be up for the grabs? Like, it just feels like anyone and everybody can be a candidate now. Whereas, again, the casting process for every Doctor must have been a deliberate, painstaking, and unique process, and it genuinely, to some degree, to complement every actor that's done the role. The right person, ideally at the right time, has stepped in, earned the role, done it legit, and again, Shooty was the absolute right person, I believe, in the time that we're in. But to have it taken away in a season where he's really come into his own, and that isn't just me saying or us saying it. I feel like majority of the Hooniverse is saying the exact same thing. It's just it sucks that he's just not here, and the whole other factors is what's making it worse. Because regardless of renewal, continuation, blah blah blah, like it still would have been a sad, miserable finale regardless. But then would have, Billy Piper probably wouldn't have been the next Doctor. Maybe it would have ended open-ended, knowing that the show was going to come back, but just not knowing who the Doctor would have been still a bit of a downer. But we could still be looking at this going, oh, at least we know Doctor Who's coming back. But yes, guys, we've got another year or two, or maybe 3 years to see who would we like to be the next Doctor, as opposed to, oh god, we know what the next Doctor is, but when and if can it come back? It's, if only we had that side of it to at least look forward to. Whereas it's genuinely like, we've got the result. Well, on the paper at the minute is the result, but will we ever get anything more is the genuine question. And that's the part that makes us all terrified, angry, wants to make us scream. I don't know where I was going, but essentially in terms of who can be the Doctor, the whole role is going to lose its prestige if everybody can just be a candidate now. Like if they just want to do it for a real viral hashtag moment, that again is a moment that's going to be lived on, because that's the unfortunate world of social media that we have. And again, it's moments and key figures, but if it's just going to be a desperation move every couple of years, because again, Doctor Who's will has to live on to some capacity to the best and detriment of its own legacy, then it isn't going to mean anything, which is what none of us want it to be. That's the only thing. I'll shut up now.
You're fine, but it just comes across as a bit cowardly.
Exactly.
I just feel like it should be bolder than that. Like Doctor Who has always taken bold steps. Like, say, of one thing, like the castings of the 12th, 13th, and 15th Doctors were against the mold that the new series is set in, and I'd say they were definitely bold castings. Hell, I'd even extend the same thing to the 11th Doctor. Like Matt, he was the youngest, and he did a very unique take on the role. Peter was the oldest. He was also very unique take. Jodie, first woman, very unique take. And then we get to Ncuti, the first lead black man to play the Doctor, and he also just gave the role so much. To have these bold castings and then just suddenly start bottling it when it looks like the show's in danger is only going to cause it to lose further credibility.
Yeah.
And that's such a shame.
It is.
And
It's wasted. It's another one of those wasted potentials. But in order your thoughts as we wrap up, because I will have to shoot off pretty immediately.
Yes, of course.
But in terms of the episode, the season, and the Doctor, like how was it all for you guys?
In terms of the whole series, you mean?
Yeah, this whole season, the you can do the era, the Doctor itself, like
I'd say,
it
is a great. I'd say overall, Ncuti, fantastic Doctor. It just lost its way, unfortunately, and it's not his fault.
They trapped themselves in.
Yeah, it's not Ncuti's fault, and
no,
arguably as well, there are several behind the scenes elements which have dictated how things have gone, and it's just a shame and a bit of a mess, and we probably won't know the truth for another 20 years.
I mean, it'll make a great autobiographical read, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
It would. In a way, it feels like an inverse of how I felt of the Chibnall era. It's the same thing. Great Doctor, great performances from everyone else involved. It's not necessarily writing, but again, it's other factors affecting the show. It's a good era, but again, it's not had the chance to live up to its full potential because of other things that, in Russell's from his perspective, if I was to speak for the man, false promises. He had a sense of reassurance that Doctor Who was going to continue for X amount of time, and I don't want to ever say that he sort of just cooled off the mindset, but he didn't clearly have a plan B. Should, in this case, the deals suddenly things change, the plans go off the rails, and the stakes have risen from a creative point of sense. But yeah, it's similar feelings to how I felt during the Chibnall era. Well, more positive than I was back then. But again, if we keep referencing Chibnall enough in this video, but it does make me want to go back to that era and see that through a different lens as well, because I think the feelings I've had during this run is how I should have felt during the 5 years that we had of the Chibnall run from a certain point of view. But without going back or trying to go back to a past mindset or going back to a past incarnation of myself, I was grateful for the Chibnall era to end just because of how I felt during that whole period. But again, with hindsight and just getting wiser and older, and the experiences, it just makes you appreciate things in different ways, I suppose. And sometimes you don't realize how good you have it until it's gone. Which in some ways is how Shooty eras has felt. But then you go back to Jodie's, and what worked with Jodie's didn't work for Shooty's, but what worked for Shooty didn't work for Jodie, and vice versa. I think, again, I'm rambling. I don't exactly know what I'm saying, but essentially, I don't know. It's a good era, but again, had problems, which is how I feel about the Chibnall era. But nothing to do with the actual cast or actors or anything like that. No fault of
nothing
anyone.
to do with him himself. It's the circumstances that the show found itself in, packed himself into a corner with, and unfortunately, at the end of the day, he couldn't keep turning down jobs, so he's done what's best for his career, which at the end of the day, that's what he needs to do first and foremost. And I can't wait to see him in whatever he's in next. I will, he's one of those actors that I'll be closely, if he's in it, I'll probably watch it, and that'll be one of the things that if you're in Doctor Who enough and I like you, that'll be my gateway into the rest of your work. And I hope that he has the biggest and best career, and I hope that whatever comes next for the show, I really hope it just returns to what made it great when it first come back, in terms of pushing the boundaries, trying new things, and not looking back. Look forward, make the future be bold and brave and creative, and we'll hopefully see what comes next soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
But in terms of that, thank you both so much for doing this today. I know it's a bit of a long one. Dom, is there anywhere that the good people can find you and where you would like them to find you?
Of course. So feel free to follow me on Twitter, otherwise known as X, but nobody likes calling it that, at Dominic JGM. You can also find me on Instagram at Dominus of Time, and on YouTube as Who Chaser.
Any more Purple Doctor stuff coming soon?
Indeed. So the final episode of Series 5 Doctor Who fan film Series 5 by DW 2012, the third part of Time Crisis, shall be airing on the 28th of June. And that will conclude this particular part of the Purple Doctor's journey. So hopefully everybody enjoys that. It's been 5 years in the making, and we're all very proud of it. So yeah, fun times had by all.
Yes, watch it if you've not done so already. Thank you, as always, Dom, for coming on. Hopefully there's a season of Doctor Who in the not too distant future for you to come back and review some more with us, which would be very enjoyable.
Here's hoping. Always game to come back.
And Connor, roll us out with the usual spiel, please, dear boy.
Please like, comment, share this video, but do us a solid favour. Don't just share it with other Whovian fans, but share it with the BBC, share it to Disney Plus, share it across all their channels until they get sick and tired of the Doctor Who brand, because we need this show back. We need it right now, and this isn't the end. The moment wasn't prepared for. We were all devastated. We are still all devastated, but we need this down Disney's throat, whether they like it or not. or share it with Amazon, share it with HBO, Soddy Max, share it everywhere. We need the show to come back, and hopefully by next week, ideally, best case scenario, we can have an answer. But yeah, leave us your thoughts on, again, this season as a whole, Shruti's era. Again, your thoughts on Billy Piper, everything. Hopes for the show going forward at nerdbiblecontact@gmail.com. You can find us across Facebook, not on X, the Blue Sky, which is kind of like the new X, Instagram, TikTok, and then appropriate gaming links once we're set up from a gaming point of view, Xbox Live, Steam, and all that retrospective stuff. But until then, hopefully, this isn't going to be the last time that the Doctor will be in our timelines, and we will hopefully cross paths with a incarnation, like moving forward, and that hopefully soon. Hopefully,
Exactly. It has been an absolute joy, this Doctor and these reviews. So thank you, gentlemen. And until we have news on more Doctor Who, we'll not talk about it next week, but soon, hopefully. Goodbye.